This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
The battle to win over Tasmanian voters on health is heating up, with the two major party policies now in the public debate. Labor is giving limited detail on the number of beds under its plan, as the Liberal Party delays its record spend until after another term in government.
Fixing a health system under increasing pressure is a key election issue.
How long did it take you to fix this one up?
A question both major parties say will take 6 years. Labor promising to deliver its staffing allocation in the first 4 years, accusing the Liberals of withholding its rollout.
Our commitment is to employ an additional 500 staff, which would happen in the first term of a Labor majority government. The Liberals have admitted today only 350 staff would be employed in a re-elected Liberal government.
We've got a 6-year plan to increase our staffing by 1,300 extra staff, and in 3 years 376 extra staff. It is achievable.
The Liberal Party today outlining its northern plan, including a new ward for Launceston, an extra 32 beds for the hospital in a project due to be completed by 2024.
We're going to build an entirely new women's and children's precinct on the top of Ward 4K, because we've engineered the new expanded 4K to be able to take an extra level on top.
Labor's commitment on hospital beds is reliant on master plans for each of the 4 hospitals, yet to detail exactly how many beds will be delivered and where.
We've provided the capital to build the extra hospital space that's needed. We've provided the funding to employ the staff. We will fund the beds properly, and we will do it in the first 4 years.
It's understood the Liberals' record health spend is accounting for Commonwealth funding, a figure believed to be as significant as $200 million. It's likely to bring the party's policy back in line with Labor's commitment of $560 million. But for health professionals, the emphasis will be on who can deliver their plan in the most effective way.
It's not just the beds, it's the staff, it's the nursing staff and it's the medical staff, and it's how well patients can be supported in the community.
Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanians now have 2 more senators representing them in federal parliament, with Richard Colbeck and Steve Martin officially sworn in today. Senator Martin, the Devonport Mayor, will sit as an independent after being dumped by the Jackie Lambie network last week. Former Tourism Minister Richard Colbeck is now a senator with the Liberal Party. They are replacing Jackie Lambie and Stephen Parry, who lost their seats in the dual citizenship crisis. There's just 19 days left of the state election campaign, with Labor today promising to review workplace protection laws to make the legislation more accessible.
Most workers don't have a legal background and do have difficulty in reading a piece of legislation, as do a lot of employers. So we want to make sure that it's as easy and as simple as possible for both workers and business owners to make sure they're meeting their obligations.
Meanwhile, the Liberals are pledging a new Glenorchy ambulance hub to improve response times.
It is a station that's shared with the Tasmanian Fire Service, so what the $6 million will do is, on a separate greenfield site, create a new dedicated superstation for Ambulance Tasmania.
The Greens have today pushed to introduce a cash for container scheme to reduce waste in the state. A 27-year-old woman has been charged with arson following a deliberately lit blaze at a Bridgewater property on Saturday evening. The fire, which was contained to this home's front room, caused around $8,000 damage to the Cowell Road property. The woman will appear in Hobart's Magistrates Court at a later date. Investigations are still continuing into 3 other suspicious blazes at Herdsman's Cove, Elderslie and Clarendon Vale over the weekend. The trial of a 27-year-old Scottsdale man accused of stealing his mother's gun from under her bed has begun in Launceston's Supreme Court. Joshua John Pearce has pleaded not guilty to charges relating to aggravated burglary and stealing of a firearm. Several witnesses took the stand today, including neighbours of the accused's mother, telling the court Mr Pearce had broken into her Spotswood Street home on March 23rd in 2016. It's alleged he forced his way in, stealing his mother's .22 air rifle, several $100s and her prescription medication. The jury is expected to reach its verdict by Wednesday. Tasmania police say the number of drivers with alcohol and drugs in their system during the party in the paddock is disappointing. 19 drivers were charged with drink driving and another 14 tested positive for drugs during the numerous operations. More than 2,200 random breath tests were conducted over 4 days in Blessington. Police say many drivers chose not to test themselves at the festival's breath test site before they left. Tasmanians have been given a look into the inner workings of the Royal Australian Navy's newest and most advanced destroyer. Hundreds of inquisitive people having a guided tour on HMAS Hobart, in town for the Royal Hobart Regatta.
A 7,000-tonne destroyer in all its glory on the Hobart waterfront, today open to the public.
Yeah, it was pretty good, wasn't it?
There was a lot of glowing valves and buttons and things like that, so yeah, very complex and detailed.
The HMAS Hobart in its namesake city for the Royal Hobart Regatta weekend, taking a break from weapons trials.
There's something pretty special about walking down the gangway and coming out to see a huge queue stretching all the way down the street.
Visitors shown a taste of life on board, from inspecting the upper deck to the galley, where over 800 meals are prepared every day for the 186-strong crew.
It was a lot more spacious than I actually thought it was going to be.
We all get on really well together, and so I get to work with a group of my friends.
The 150-metre vessel, boasting numerous capabilities, it's able to travel at speeds of 28 knots with an advanced air defence system and the most up-to-date equipment for undersea warfare.
It's a very easy ship to drive. It handles incredibly well. At the same time, it's a very powerful ship and it's very fast.
Considered one of the most valuable warships for the Royal Australian Navy, with HMAS Brisbane and HMAS Sydney to soon join the ranks.
It's my first posting as a ship, so it's amazing.
People embracing Hobart's public holiday today, with crowds flocking to the Hobart Regatta for fun on and off the water.
We've got a nice activity base here. People are enjoying themselves out, trying out sailing and kayaking, and we're wrapped.
Seeing everybody's faces and seeing the smile on their faces, getting on the ride, hearing them scream.
The regatta is celebrating its 180th year. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
Tasrail workers are starting conversations around mental health using cues from an interactive tool. Dubbed Quentin the Question Mark, the device offers suggestions such as talking to neighbours and sharing a meal with family and friends. Tasrail hopes the fun initiative will help rail employees speak out about mental health ahead of Are You OK Day in April.
In the rail industry, we do have circumstances on the job where people are exposed to trauma, but likewise in our everyday jobs, everyone has a reason to ask, are you okay?
Tasrail workers in Burnie, Launceston and Brighton will be able to use Quentin the Question Mark in the coming days. The country's largest ever international berry conference is tonight, preparing to get underway in Tasmania. Industry experts and producers from across the globe spent the afternoon prepping for 3 jam-packed days.
12 months in the making, and BerryQuest International is finally here.
Represents all the berry industries coming together for 3 days, learning about new techniques and innovation that's happening in the industry.
Around 350 people were expected to attend, but by late this afternoon, registrations had hit 400. The state's said to be leading the way in an industry worth $850 million to Australia each year.
Berries is in fact the biggest fruit industry in Australia, and much of that growth has happened here in Tasmania. So it's appropriate that we're actually coming here right in the middle of the key season.
Experts from North America, Mexico, Europe, New Zealand and the UK among those attending the 3-day event. Blueberry producer Ontar Duardi keen to share the latest in produce preservation all the way from Chile.
It's based with sulfur dioxide, and sulfur dioxide stops the development of fungus. So technology we've been using for decades on table grapes, and now they have adapted the technology to use it on blueberries.
From retractable roof production to blueberry rust and fruit fly, no stone will be left unturned.
We never know when the next incursion is going to happen, and we've seen that with Queensland fruit fly, not only here in Tasmania but also in Victoria.
It's for people who are growers and who are involved in the industry to come and share knowledge, to debate the tough current issues and to find potential solutions.
Jessie Gilmore, Southern Cross News.
Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed lower but did claw back some earlier losses as the Dow Jones Futures Index pointed to a possible positive session on US markets tonight. The ASX 200 index fell 17.3 points. Short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 78 US cents and 107.72 New Zealand cents.
University has caused a big upset in the Kookaburra Cup, beating top-of-the-table Clarence by 8 wickets in Hobart. University's Jack Larriman was the standout, taking 5 wickets and knocking up an unbeaten 67 runs.
Clarence entered today's final as the hot favourite, but University's Jack Larriman put them on the back foot.
Oh, that's got him as well. He just played all around that delivery.
2 overs later, Larriman struck again, dismissing Daniel Salpietro for 5. And he wasn't done there. Cameron Stevenson became his 5th wicket of the day.
Right on cue, he's got a 5 for, ladies and gentlemen. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Chasing 158 for victory, University's openers were split in the 3rd over. But it only meant Larriman and Rhett Lockyer could begin piling on the runs. A brief downpour of rain slipped up the bowlers and put play on hold. But when the weather cleared, Lockyer got down to work, bringing up his 50 with a boundary. Larriman also made the mark.
Drop and run. That's some way to bring up your 50.
Lockyer couldn't see it through though, bowing out as the day's top scorer on 72, leaving James Hortle to do the honours.
Oh, and he could have hit the winning runs right there, and he has with a cracking shot backwards a point, and there it is.
It's University's first title since 2013. Meanwhile, Jackson Bird is still being looked at by medics following a hamstring injury in the Sheffield Shield, while Gabe Bell is out for the rest of the season after going down with a fractured foot.
Rolly Meredith was 12th man for the game, so he'll come into the team. He deserves an opportunity, and then we'll sit down this afternoon and go through the other spot.
And the coach says we can expect more spells from Matthew Wade after he ditched the gloves to take 3 wickets against the Bulls.
Yeah, Wadey loves bowling in the net. He's a real competitor. That's the one thing we know about Wadey. And when obviously the 2 quicks went down, we were looking for some overs from somewhere, and he was the first one to put his hand up. And 3 wickets, you can't argue with that, can you?
Good evening. Hobart, Burnie and Devonport 23 today. Launceston reached 25 and that was the high around the state. Cloud extended across Tasmania today with some isolated shower activity this morning over the west. Friendly Beaches 24 degrees today. Wynyard and Bushy Park 23. Low Head and St Helens 22. Flinders Island, Grove 21 and King Island 20. There is a ridge of high pressure that has cloud onshore over the southern Australian coastline. There's a bit there over the South Australian Victorian coast. Convective cloud with an unstable air masses over northern WA, with more streaming across into South Australia. And the cloud band today was with that weak cold front that passed without a lot of fanfare. Tomorrow a high pressure system moves over the Tasman Sea. A stronger cold front approaches Tasmania. The trough continues over the mainland. Variable winds will tend northeast to northwesterly at 10 to 20 knots, reaching 25 knots over the east and west coast by evening. Light and variable winds inland. Hobart for Tuesday may see an early shower. It'll clear later, 22 the top, 22 for Adventure Bay, a bit of cloud. 4 overnight for Tarraleah, getting cool, and 22 the high tomorrow. Launceston mostly sunny and 24, 21 for Devonport, okay for Bridport and 22. Burnie partly cloudy but fine, 22 the top, 21 for Strawn, maybe an afternoon shower for Marrawar and 21 degrees. St Helens partly cloudy, warming up to 25 though, 24 with a morning shower in Swansea. Whitemark partly cloudy and 23 degrees with the UV sitting in the very high range. A windy Wednesday with showers extending statewide before contracting to the west, south and Bass Strait. Fresh to strong westerly winds on Thursday with another shower over the west and south, and mainly fine on Friday apart from a shower for the west, far south and Bass Strait. Early cloud over Perth, sunny in Adelaide tomorrow along with Melbourne, a shower or 2 clearing from Sydney and Canberra, a storm possible for Brisbane and Darwin. Mostly clear and 17 at the moment in Hobart, 22 and clear in Launceston, 22 and mostly clear in Devonport. Joe caught up with a lot of great people at the Hobart Cup yesterday and they all asked me to say hello to you. So Joe, hello.
Hello back. Thank you very much, Merv. That's all from the team for now. Thanks for your company. Good night.